This is Pod Populi, podcasts for the people.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the FemForce podcast. My name is Rachel Paskman, and I am your host. And today I am so excited because I am joined by Ada, who is a PhD engineer, an entrepreneur, and an affirmations music creator, and the founder of HappyMindset.app. So she has a very diverse background in data consulting, but her passion led her to explore how sound and affirmations can deeply impact mindset, emotional well-being, and energy. And her pivot into the affirmation music came during a period of personal transformation, which we're going to dive into, and how she uses these affirmation musics to shift people's energy and thoughts with intention using their own voice and words. And she was able to do all of this because of her background as an engineer, which is just so cool. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me, Rachel.
So tell the audience just like what, you became an engineer, which is, and to get a PhD in that as a woman already, that's such a feat. So what made you kind of go into that field and, how you kind of left that and align into the path you're on now?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Well, I found engineering, if I go all the way back, I found engineering, I think I was in 8th grade, and it was mostly because I was just good at math and science and thinking about what the heck do I want to do with my life? And people said, oh, you should look into engineering. And so I thought that would be kind of cool. And through a whole series of events, which we probably don't have time to get into today, I ended up in a discipline of engineering that not too many people know about. It feels like it's super popular in some areas, and the other people are like, what's that? Called industrial and systems engineering. And we're the types of engineers that improve systems and processes and make things run better. And in finding that, I was like, oh, this is the one. and really loved it all the way up to getting a PhD. So it's always been about using my technical skills to help people in different ways. I've always loved that from a small child. And I found engineering was a really great application of technical things, but also to help people improve their lives.
No, and that's so cool. And to go all the way through, and especially in such not just a male dominated field, but such a male viewed field, to be able to go all the way through your PhD has to be something that you don't see a lot of women doing.
Yeah, maybe definitely not statistically, for sure not. I was really fortunate when I went to the University of Michigan. And so at that time there were, I had lots of, well, I don't know, in air quotes, maybe lots, who knows, sometimes, and maybe this is relating to our affirmations conversation later, like sometimes how you view the world can be very skewed by your perspective. So in terms of all engineering disciplines, industrial engineers, there are quite a few of them, but yeah, statistically speaking, definitely different than other programs. But it was fun and it was interesting. I've always really liked to dive deep into things, and I'm a bit of a geek and a nerd about stuff. And definitely a PhD brings that out in you.
And then a lot of research.
That's right. And then once you have it, you kind of bring that everywhere. So yeah.
No, but that's so cool. And then during COVID, you became a mother.
Yeah.
And you're really seeing global unrest, not just within COVID and the things that happen to it, like within, obviously, in the global scale from countries, within Asia to all the way here in the domestic United States.
Sure.
But you also saw different things happening, like the Russia-Ukraine war. And that really kind of shifted your personal transformation. And can you talk about how that happened and where the transformation was?
Yeah, COVID was a very fascinating time because, I became a mother at the end of COVID. So the end of 2021, my daughter was born. And so, and that is such a transformational experience, period. I think no matter when, but definitely during COVID, it was such an interesting time because we were in lockdown and at home all the time. And that definitely put a particular perspective on pregnancy. And my partner wasn't able to go to all of the ultrasounds at first, and then he could come. And so that changed the experience. And then social distancing also was happening, which impacted different things in pregnancy and birth and newborning. But really so that was a profound time. But really the most interesting part, or the shift, as you mentioned, that happened was winter 2022. So we still had a newborn-ish. She was getting almost into baby land, but definitely newborn, very small. And I was fortunate enough to be able to breastfeed. So I was breastfeeding. That's lovely in many ways, but also the kind of around the clock, being a food source around the clock is very also interesting experience. But so I can remember this evening, it was the winter of 2022, and I had just finished breastfeeding and put our little baby back to sleep. And I probably should have gone back to sleep, to be honest. In hindsight, I'm like, I wonder what my life would be if I just gone to bed. But instead, I opened up my phone and I opened up my favorite news app and saw that there was this conflict happening in Ukraine and the fighting and the bombings. And I was just like, what? It was really, it's sad to say in some ways, it's like lots of countries invaded other countries, or lots of conflicts have happened over our lifetimes. It's kind of sad when you say that out loud, but it's true. But this one in particular really just struck me. And I was just very shocked and very confused. And I think it's because in that moment, I had this really small, lovely little baby. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is this world? What have I done to bring this baby into this world? And it really started me thinking on opened up a whole new train of thought patterns in my mind, and thinking about, what type of world did I want this little girl to grow up in, and how can I really be a part of making that world a reality? And so I spent a lot of my maternity leave thinking about, how can I use my skills and my passions? I had a whole variety of technical skills and systems analysis and analytics and all that kind of stuff, systems optimization, and how can I use the technical skills that I have and the skills I love using, as I mentioned earlier, to make the world a happier place. And in particular, there were kind of two things that came to mind. One is like helping people see the good things around them, the abundance, the happiness, the joy, the beauty, because I was very much in two places at once. Like one, I had this baby. I'd survived birth, which isn't a gift given to all mothers, right? Like I had this baby. Yeah. She had some challenges when she was born, so she overcame those as well. So I was in this really deeply grateful mode. And then, another place in the world, there was all this horrible things happening to people of all ages, but including young mothers. I remember reading about women that were birthing and all these other things, I was very connected to that at the time. So I was like, wow, how can I bring more awareness to the great stuff that's happening in the world? And then how can we use that to just let it multiply and bring more happiness into the world? And so having these trains of thoughts as I was in maternity leave really made me think, okay, I'm going to shut down my consulting business, because at that time I was working as an independent consultant with data analytics and those types of things. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to shut down this consulting business. And I knew I needed to do something different with my time and my energy on the planet, both to balance motherhood, which again was a bit of a ride, but also due to this feeling that I had about wanting to help others, spend more of their time and attention noticing what's going well in their lives and bringing more positivity and happiness into their lives. And so I wasn't quite sure at the time what exactly I was going to do, but I knew for myself and for those that I love, especially this little baby girl, I needed to do something. So that's really was the moment that kind of led me down this path.
I mean, and it's such a cool thing, like affirmation music. So when I first heard of it, I would, I had to do a little research, and you and I had to ask a lot of questions about it. Yeah. So explain to the audience, what is affirmation music? What do you do with that?
Oh, wow. It's, I don't know a formal definition, but the way that I came to it, I could explain it that way. So I think first and foremost, my love is with affirmations themselves, the words that you and I use. I find that the words everyone uses to themselves and to other people are just so powerful, and they shape each of our perspectives on the world rather. And so I found that I came to this work because I realized that what we were saying, in particular, phrases like "I am" or "you are" so important, and just I'm having a hard time coming up with the words myself, because I'm just like, it's one of those realizations where you're like, this thing happened, and you never look at the world the same way, right? Yeah. So, but it's just big, sort of sitting in the fact that when we use phrases in particular to speak about ourselves and those around us, they have like almost infinite impact. So if I could say to you, like, Rachel, you are this, or you are happy, or you're beautiful, or you're lovely, or I could say that you're sad, or, ugly, or what, I don't believe any of those things about you. But the point that I'm making is like just saying those words about you, let alone you saying those words about yourself, I am fill in the blank, is just so beyond powerful. And so I fell into affirmations because of that, recognizing that power. But then I fell in love with affirmations music as a medium to share these affirmations, interact with them. And there's actually like 3 really key things for me that kind of sum up why I love affirmations music. One is, I kind of hinted at it earlier, because you're kind of being very mindful in choosing the words that you use and recognizing the words have a really deep power. The second is that you're kind of owning that power and shaping what you're listening to and exposing yourself to. And the third thing I love about affirmations music has to relate to the pop affirmations music I make. A lot of affirmation music is spoken word, but I also make some pop affirmations music, which I really find was lovely. And the reason I really like pop affirmation music is because it's catchy and it sticks with you. So I find that you can, I love music in general, you may as well, but sometimes I've caught myself singing a lyric in my head and I'm just like, why the heck am I singing this to myself? So for example, I love George Michael's I Can't Make You Love Me If You Don't, right? And I just love it. I just think it's beautiful. I love singing along to it, but then I would catch myself. I'm like, why the heck am I saying that?
You're like, I'm on this. Yes. You're like, this is my song right now.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, like, that's not really the message I want to put out there. I'm currently in a, I think, happy relationship. It's like not kind of the message I wanted to put out there. So
totally
I really
understand
pop music because I was curious to dance around, or I was desiring dancing around and kind of bopping along to messages that I really want to hear. And so there are songs that I've made that are like, one is like See the Love in Your Day. And it really does make me think about, usually I listen to my stuff in the gym. So I'm like, bopping along on the treadmill and thinking about like, oh yeah, that guy did open the door for me, or that woman smiled at me. And, all the little things that happened in your day. It's really nice to just be brought back into that. And I just love music. So bopping along is fun. But those are the 3 really important things. I think 2 of them are about affirmations and just the power of your words, recognizing it and using it. And then the third is just music can make it more fun. It can make it more, catchy, it can make it more memorable. And so that's why I like affirmations music.
And so you say your words because you record a lot of times people saying their own affirmation and hearing their own voice.
Yes.
And why is that so important that it's coming from them to hear their own voice doing these affirmations?
Yeah. Because I think it's powerful. Like, imagine, we can go back to what I said earlier, like imagine me saying things about you, and it's lovely to hear positive people being like, oh yeah, Ada thinks I'm awesome. That's awesome. But then for you to say it out of your own mouth, for you to sit and say, I am all of these fabulous, positive things that you are in the world, and really see and believe that, it just makes more meaning from within you, if that makes sense. You're reminding yourself for what you're grateful for and what you're creating into the world. And my process, probably because of my engineering background, is a bit unique, I think. I actually refer to the creation of the affirmations in the music as well-engineered affirmations, probably a nod to my academic background. But it really starts with your biggest hopes and your dreams and your goals for your life and how you want to show up in the world and impact others. And that's so personal to you and so specific to you. So it's all about that particular person. And yes, other people may get value from it, but what I find to be most interesting about the process is that it's so truly speaking to you and kind of what you would need to hear, or whoever the you is, the person would need to hear for themselves to feel confident, to have that boost and to really believe like, oh yeah, like what I've put out into the world in terms of my goals and my plans, they're achievable and they're mine now. So I find that to be really powerful stuff.
And I mean, there's a science behind this practice. So combining spoken affirmations with intentional music and the sound frequencies, all of that helps to like rewire subconscious and like because of the repetition and the sound.
For sure.
It's more powerful. And especially because each track is custom built.
Yes. specific to that person and what their specific desire is. Yeah, for sure. And there are all sorts of really fun, as I dip my toes into the research, there's all sorts of really interesting lessons that we can learn about the frequencies and just the power of repetition, and the phrasing of the phrases, that is all kind of underneath it. But and I can geek out about that stuff. As I said earlier, I'm a bit of a geek. But what I really love is this transformational process for the person to go from, this is what I would like for the world. Because typically people don't show up, not saying people are miserable or sad, but they're not like, my life is perfect in every way, I want some affirmations, right? Like there's something they want to shift.
They want to get out of it. No, 1,000%. You're doing this to get something out of it.
That's right. That's
something positive. That would be the goal, I would assume.
For sure. Something you want to bring into your life. And so to get someone to be like, oh, I'm not really sure. Is this really possible for me? I'm not sure. And then through this process for them to be like, holy crap. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, like this is mine. And, wow, like this is available to me and it's something that I can do. And it's really uplifting and powerful. And I love getting the like feedback and testimonials because it really can shape people's world in terms of like, oh my gosh, I see the world in a different place. Going back to my point earlier about words are super powerful. They help sort of shift and frame how you view your world and your life and how you fit in it. And so these affirmations are really a tool to like move what's possible for you, which is super exciting. And
I mean, that's just, it's phenomenal to think about like that. But how does affirmation music differ from meditation? Or just from standard affirmation? Is it based because of your voice and the repetition that we talk about?
That's interesting. I don't know if I would guess to say yes. I haven't read any if academic studies that say like it's different from this way or that way. I wouldn't poo-poo on someone writing out their affirmations or list or meditating in whatever way that feels good for them. I find that for the people that I work with, they're just very intrigued to have that for themselves. Like they're interested in the process of, especially those that choose to come into our virtual recording booth and have themselves speak out loud their affirmations. I think they want that kind of transformative process. So I can't say academically there is a difference or what that difference may be, but definitely experientially, people really enjoy and resonate with the process of, okay, I've written these things down and now I'm going to speak them into a microphone and have this other person, me, being like, did you really mean that when you said that? That doesn't sound like you really meant it. Or what phrase, what word are you kind of getting hung up on? Like, let's switch that word out. And I think that process is what really gets people. It's another level, which might make the experience of creating, at least through my process, personalized affirmations music different from meditating or writing them out on your own or putting on a Post-it note or something like that.
Well, it has to be really personal, to be and vulnerable. To be like, this is what I need to hear.
Yes.
This is what I want to hear. And this is what I'm trying to get out of this.
Yes, extremely. And that really shocked me at first, because at first it was kind of like, oh yeah, this is cool, I'll do this thing. And then when I started sitting down with people, I was just like, holy cow, this is precious. You know what I mean? I was taking it seriously because that's just who I am. But it was just like, wow, this person's being extremely vulnerable with me. And I have I'm in a very privileged position to support someone through this process, and have them come out the other end with something that gets them super excited. It's very, very cool. Because I'll be 100% honest, and I haven't hidden my academic background here. I am an engineer by training. So even the idea of creating music initially was very intimidating. Am I a composer? I don't know. I can use all the tools and put all the things together. But once I realized, okay, I'm not going to get a Grammy. It's not for I do high quality work and I get better all the time and all that kind of stuff. But the quality from a musical perspective is not the topmost, the most important.
We're not Beyonce. We get that. We're not Beyonce. We're not.
Yeah, exactly.
There can only be them. We love that for them.
For sure. It was truly more about, and truly the stuff that I compose is in the background anyways. So you can barely hear it with to the frequency and all that stuff that you mentioned earlier. But this is really about this person having a process to go through to figuring out what the heck that is that they want, writing it down, being vulnerable and open enough to show it with another person, trusting me enough to be like, hey, this is what I've worked on. And then me being very, I know this person's goal. This is what they're saying. Is that really going to get them there? Like, for example, and I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent, but for example, there was one person I was working with that was looking to up their financial sort of abundance, looking to earn more money. And the phrasing was kind of like, the initial phrasing was, I'm beginning to start to look at, and you're like, like, is that really going to get you there? Is that really the person? Yeah. Let's say you are living the life you desire. Like, is that really the thought that the person that's there is going to have? That sounds like someone that's like, oh, I don't know if that's really going to work out. Right. So I could kind of bring that I'll say editor, but I really do see it as an engineering process of like, okay, here is the system. Here are the steps. We're going to get you from here to there. And are these words that you're using, is this approach that you're taking really going to get you from here to there? And I kind of bring that mindset to it. And I think I think it's really important, and it's powerful, and it's really helpful. But also that's the most important part I've realized, and not, should it be a G? Should it be a G flat? I don't know. Like that, those other aspects.
But it's got to be, there has to be blocks that come through with this, like, and like just fear in general when people are thinking about recording their own affirmation and using their own voice. But also I would think like a block to be like, I'm going to be this vulnerable with someone and tell them like, hey, this is my fear, or this is something I want to work on, which means that I don't have it figured out. And like others do, and things like that. How do you work with someone who might have that block, but you can sense that like they want more from it.
They want more from
having this affirmation, from creating it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it's kind of an interesting process that I have going now. And maybe when this is released, it'll always shift. I am a process engineer, so my process is always improving. But the process as we're recording right now is the following. So someone would create what I call a get unstuck mindset map. And so they enter a bunch of questions, and through that process, they get kind of like a report. I call it a mindset map of, hey, here are the blocks, to use your words. I call them mindset constraints, but here are the constraints that I think you're up against. Here are some affirmations I think that will help you shift those constraints. So I won't get into it too much here, but I have this whole video that kind of explains my approach and my mindset when it comes to creating affirmations. And it's about shifting what I call mindset constraints with these well-engineered affirmations. So the first part is kind of doing the writing. And I have a whole bunch of tools that I can share with people so they can do that, because I know I'm not a writer personally. So it's always nice to have support in that area. And so once you have that, like, let's say you and I were going to record, we have access to that information, but really it's more of you coming with your affirmation. So hopefully through that initial process of your get unstuck mindset map, you're working through like, oh, I didn't realize I had this block or constraint, as I would call it, or, oh, I didn't even, like, a lot of it is kind of some ahas of like, I didn't even realize I looked at the world this way, or I didn't even realize I had this constraint in my mind. And so then you can work to craft these affirmations that are, that look to shift that slightly. There is a really simple example in the video that I just mentioned about someone that wants to buy a car, and, they just opening their mind up to, initially they're like, oh, I need to purchase the car cash, but just opening their mind up to financing or leasing can open up new options. So that's a very simplistic version, but we each face those types of things. So just recognizing what the constraint is and open your mind up with these affirmations can be helpful. And then once the time comes for recording, it's really this refinement process of like, well, is that really the word that you want to use? It's not even the words, because I'm an engineer. I'm not a writer. It's not like, we're not looking for Pulitzer here or anything. It's more like how they sound when they say it. When someone is confident, you've seen people on stage when you're like, oh yeah, this is who I am. This is what I believe. And you also know people that are like, hey, I'm Ada. And like, you can tell, you can just tell.
Yeah.
So I think that's really a long way to answer your question. It goes back to like the vulnerability and the blocks and stuff. When we sit down to record, it's more how they're presenting the content. Yes. And also how they're presenting the content does this person really believe that what they've written down is true? And if not, how can we massage or adjust what's written so that, of course, this is obvious. Of course, you wouldn't doubt at all. Your name is Rachel. I wouldn't. I don't.
Yeah, they believe in that. Like they believe in the affirmation they're saying. Like it's gotta come with like that sound of it. I would think if it's timid sounding or like shaky or etc.
That's right.
Are you believing you're not even believing yourself? It's your voice.
Exactly. And that's where my personal goal is to get people to like stating it's their name, like things that they know. My name is Ada. I currently live in Ontario, Canada. You're Rachel. You're currently in the United States. Like, those are facts. So I want you to talk about your abundance or your love life or your career as fact, right? And that's where it comes into where I'm always saying the power of our words, and we're using affirmations all the time because those are those little things that whenever we say I am, or those are affirmations. So if you can easily say that you are fill in the blank, then say that about the stuff that you want too. and it will be true, kind of.
And so people use these like to shift the moment. So like before a meeting,
yes,
if you're journaling or, when you're just kind of feeling off, like you said, you do it on the treadmill to pump yourself up, which we love because it's creating that confidence and clarity that you need. Yeah. So if someone wanted to do affirmation music, what's one simple way they can begin using this to kind of shift their energy?
Okay, how they could start shifting. So you could go out there and look. Like Spotify has a ton of stuff. I'm on there as Happy Mindset Music. There's lots of YouTube and other places. So you can start poking around and seeing, like, okay, let's see what kind of topics are out there that I want to listen about. So that's one way that you can get started. And then anywhere you could try on the, if you're commuting or on a walk, I love the treadmill. Any time like that, maybe while you're, I don't know. I don't think while you're working would be great. I do think you need to
have a focus point.
Yeah, kind of have a focus. So while you're cooking, perhaps, but any of those types of activities, you can put them on in the background. And I find that the people I work with mostly have some experience, most of them, not all of them, but have some experience with just general affirmations music. And they get to the point where they're like, but that's not talking to my exact thing, like there's like this like, it's a little bit off. So I wish I could have this or that about it. So that's, if you're just getting brand new to it, you feel free to jump in. I'd love to hear from everyone. But if you're like, I just want to dip my toe, you can kind of just Spotify and YouTube and also just be very mindful of what you're listening to. There's a lot of popular music out there with really lovely, positive messages. And so looking to listen to them more often and seeing how it makes you feel, seeing what it makes you think about in the world. So that would be the absolute first step. And then after that, if you want to dive deeper, please reach out to me.
It's just such a cool way and so different than just seeing like a mantra or, reading a positive quote. You're like really ingraining it in your being in a way. That's partially what music does.
For sure. And I think that's why I love music, because it does stick with you in a different way. Sometimes you can remember, you have a lot of lovely phrases that I'm seeing behind you, and they're beautiful and lovely. And I'm sure some of them will stick with me. But music is just different. Like sometimes they pop into your mind and you're just like, oh, that's fun.
You're like, that works. I get that. Yeah,
that works.
And it's just, I feel like it really is though. Like but I also remember song lyrics over the periodic table any day of the week when I'm like, oh my God, I haven't heard this song in 20 years. Yet I'm reciting that like it's
every
like
word.
It was yesterday and nobody's business. And I'm like, really? You couldn't have memorized anything else that could have been a little more helpful here, but that's okay. Just music sticks with you.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And I think that's why I was so inspired to create, in particular, the pop affirmations music, because I knew that pop music stuck with me and dance music sticks with me. And so I was like, okay, how can I use this power for sort of my own benefit? That sounds awful in a way, but yeah, like how can I make the most
but that's
of these
where half the good ideas, you're doing something that's going to either better yourself or make you more efficient. That's where good ideas come from. Like people don't just come up with it half the time to be like, I'm going to, unless you're curing cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're doing it to like, it's going to affect you in some way because you saw the need for it.
For sure. No, for sure. That's awesome.
No, I think it's amazing. And so as we wrap up, I do like to ask one final question to all of my guests. Sure. So if you could give one piece of advice to your 16-year-old self, what would that be?
Oh, the first one is just be you. I think my 16-year-old self was a little bit concerned about like, what should I do? And looking sort of out externally for validation and for direction. And I think I would say, look within and really focus on who you want to be and how you want to show up and take actions that way. So that's what I would tell you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, mine's always, I'm like, I just give her a hug. Give her a hug and feel like
it's hard. Like being a teenager, it's challenging. And now I think
if we had affirmation music, like, and especially given right now we're recording in May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and
that's right.
How these things really, they affect you. But we have all of these resources and even creative resources that we didn't have when like we were 16.
Yes. Even just be aware. It's a whole nother thought. I work with adults now, but perhaps one day I could look into all that would be involved to work with younger people, because there is a lot of how our view of the world is shaped. We're in that. I don't know about scientifically, but just anecdotally, like your view in the world is shaped in that way, in that time frame, and just to get introduced to, it doesn't have to be this way, or you can really shape your world, and what do you want it to look like? And I think that would be a very powerful thing, and really help people 1,000%. Make a whole new set of decisions when they're at that such a young age,
vulnerable age, an impressionable age. I think that's really you can chart your own course, and it's just. It's a tough time, but such a magical time at the same time, because you have all these options and you can change your mind and make different choices. And
no, it's kind of like affirmations. Now that we say it is like, tough, but also magical and powerful. And you can do so much with your life from that and put yourself in a whole new trajectory from what you choose then. So what a fun question. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So tell the audience where they can find you, plug yourself. We have the Happy Mindset app. But where can they find you? LinkedIn, all that jazz.
Yes. So I will out myself. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I'll be better, but I doubt it. But I'm not great at social media. but I am there. So the absolute best place to find me is HappyMindset.co. HappyMindset, one word, .co is the website. You can find the video I mentioned there. Contact me in a variety of different ways. And then I am on LinkedIn as Ada Barlatt. You can hunt me down there. And then I have different Happy Mindset social media accounts. But most importantly, what I'd love to highlight is my Spotify page, which is fantastic. So I'm Happy Mindset Music on Spotify. And that would be great too. If people want to share or give some ideas for other topics for what I put out into the world, that would be great.
That's awesome. And we will put all of those in links like in the bottom in the notes section. So like make sure you go check this out. I think it's such a powerful thing, and affirmations are so helpful for everyone's mental health. And I think what you're doing is just so creative and so amazing. And I know it's affecting so many people, and that's just so inspiring.
Thank you. Well, I really am grateful for you having me on this podcast. It's been great to get to know you. And I'm just really excited to see where the podcast and where you will go. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, make sure to check out Ada, and we will talk next week. Bye-bye.